There was always going to be an awful lot read into the minor details at Ibrox on Sunday. The body language of the players, the way they interacted with each other, the way goals were celebrated. There were some signs of unity throughout the match that will certainly have pleased Graham Morty. But even before I'd gone off air with Sky Sports, I saw something which told me there was clearly still major unrest in the camp. As all the substitutes and players who weren't involved in the game were knocking their pans in on the pitch at full time. Alfredo Morelos appeared suited and booted on the side of the pitch with his head down and went straight out of the park, clearly not happy. That just doesn't look good, and it begs the question, how much of the togetherness shown by the other players was genuine? Was it just a show for the public? It's all right saying you've had a tough week and that everyone is in it together, but is that really the case? It didn't look so. I can understand that Morelos was disappointed at not starting against Hearts, but he missed another good chance to score after coming on. The same thing happened against Celtic last week, so he could hardly complain about not starting. He just looks like a man who is really brassed off. Whether that's down to the pressure of him not having scored against Celtic or being dropped, I'm not sure. But in a week when everyone is questioning players' mental states, he's showing people that he's not happy. My best bet is that stems from him wanting out. He wants to go and earn more money, wherever that may be. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about him moving to China in January, but once that passed, he signed a new deal. He's done that to get a bigger wage. Anyone, not just in football, has to be money-orientated so you can provide for your family and give them the best life possible. Let's remember, though, that Rangers backed him by not selling him and offering him a new contract. They told him he was a big part of their plans. What's been the payback? Last week, he was fighting with his teammates at full time. This week, he comes on and after missing another chance he can't get out of the place quick enough. I did feel sorry for him in one aspect against Celtic. He was very isolated against centre-halves who are comfortable in possession. Scott Brown also slotted back into the Celtic back four when needed. That made it very hard for him. He didn't get much service because Rangers were so overrun in the middle of the park. But he won't have done his chances of earning another starting berth any good with his conduct. Rangers were better against Hearts than against Celtic, but it still wasn't much to write home about. If I'd to give them a mark out of 10, I'd say 3 or 4. The first half was edgy and unconvincing. They got in some decent areas, but you could see they were lacking confidence in the final third. They weren't making that killer pass or putting the right ball across. They took an extra second to think about what to do. Creative players are better when they play instinctively. There wasn't enough of that. Look at when Jason Cummings went through one-on-one. Normally, he'd just roll the ball into the back of the net, but he was hesitant. I lost count of the number of times a Rangers player had a chance but waited and had their shot blocked. Morelos eventually came on and went round the keeper. He could have hit the back of the net or cut it back but did neither. Going into Sunday's league match at Parkhead, Rangers should be thinking, there's no way they are going to clinch this championship against us. As a Rangers player, you just can't entertain the possibility of the Celtic players and supporters celebrating winning the league while you are on the pitch. If they cannot deliver a performance under those circumstances against a Celtic side they know will be hurting after their own display against Hibs, they never will. I've heard Brendan Rodgers saying that he won't go from Celtic to another club for the money. I suppose that's easy to say when you are a multimillionaire. But I think what he means by that is he knows he's good. Very good. But that never stops him improving. The point is money isn't the issue. He'll only want another job if it's the right one for him. It would be hard for anyone to stay at Celtic if the likes of Arsenal came calling. But when you look at the candidates he's up against, Carlo Ancelotti, Thomas Tuchel and Luis Enrique, it's a formidable list. This is one of the reasons Rodgers has learned Spanish, to be able to tick more boxes than anyone else he's up against. If Arsenal come calling, there is not a doubt in my mind he'd be good enough for them. But he's got unfinished business at Celtic. He's got a great rapport with the fans, he loves being in Glasgow and he enjoys the challenge of leaving behind a legacy. People talk about how tall an order it is succeeding Arsene Wenger, but imagine it from Celtic's point of view. Being the man to come in after Rodgers? In a month's time, he might become the first manager in Scotland to win a double treble. The standards he's set here are ridiculously high. Whoever eventually replaces him faces an almost impossible task. Hibs' all-round display in their win against Celtic was nothing short of remarkable. It's a breath of fresh air to watch a team that's just been promoted from the Championship look so comfortable on the ball against the best side in the country. They just didn't have anyone approaching a failure. John McGinn was everywhere. Dylan McGouch was superb and you couldn't take your eyes off Lewis Stevenson's battle with James Forrest. They really pressed Celtic. It's probably the first time since Hearts beat Celtic 4-0 at Tynecastle that they looked really uncomfortable in possession when put under that kind of intense pressure. Had Hibs taken their chances, it could have been 3 or 4. The concern from Hibs' point of view is keeping this team together. What they'd give for serious investment this summer. How they'd love to keep McGinn and McGouch. And what they'd do to see both of the strikers who have come in and done a great job stay for next season. But I feel there's going to be big changes in the squad over the next 18 months. McGinn has a year left on his contract but is playing too well not to get a move. McGouch is out of contract in the summer and Scott Allen's future is unclear. Florian Camberi and Jamie McLaren have been great additions but signing them permanently may prove difficult. Hopefully, Neil Lennon can identify players who can maintain the high standards they've set. He has built something special there, but if he isn't able to replace like-for-like quality, he'll soon get frustrated.